It would be curtains for all men if they all decided that they were done with women and that they would have to live on their own. Do you think they would still be able to come up with it on their own, or do you think that statement is true? Let's dig a little deeper into this to find an answer to this question and determine whether they are truly capable of standing on their own, being powerful and self-sufficient without men. Based on the numerous examples I've witnessed in my own life and the lives of those around me, women who had a man who could provide for them typically had better lives. Not so much if they were both dirt broken. To serve as their parents' retirement plan and make their final days on earth as painless as possible, one of their children would have to give up themselves. That contrasts with a single woman without a partner. She might have had a nice life if one of her children stayed behind to care for her, depending on how many children she had, so long as the child earns a respectable monthly income to support and care for the woman. The final woman on our list is a wealthy single woman without children. If she does not build a retirement fund, that woman will struggle and suffer. Look at a single mother who does not have children but becomes financially independent, or a single woman who does not have children but plans for retirement. If you believe these 3 or 4s are winning, you'll get a glimpse of a tragedy. Throughout my life, I have had the opportunity to meet all of these kinds of women. And let me tell you something. The majority of women are doomed to failure without a husband who has planned for their retirement. If they had children who were neither successful nor financially independent, nor if they did not have children but failed to prepare for retirement, all of these women are financially successful. Therefore, when your ex-partners depart from you and believe that they can advance, perform better, and that the grass is greener on the other side, Dan, the past 40 years speak for themselves. Nearly all 3 of these women have reached their 60s and 70s. So I know they are when we hear them say they are strong and independent and see career women putting off having children. Considering the long term but in need of a reality check. Because of this, an elderly woman will begin to become desperate if she does not have her finances in order. If she does not have a man or children, she will not have an assured safety net for the rest of her life. Let me share something with you all. The sight of an elderly homeless woman forced to live on the streets is one of the most heartbreaking images. She will probably get help from someone or a government agency, but when you see an elderly woman like that, it usually tells a story. She believed she could have done it on her own without being under the control and authority of a man, and she was defiant to the very end. That is usually what happens because many of these women, especially in today's world, would rather struggle than have a man who checks her and prevents her from harming her family and herself. Over the years, I've observed that to be the case with women who end up in bad situations. Drugs, poor life choices made by women, or even a catastrophic accident like a house fire are some of the other reasons why some women become homeless. As a result, I advocate not feeling sorry for women when you see them in a bad situation, even if it was not their fault. Too frequently, individuals are willing to save women simply because they are female without examining the circumstances that led to their predicament or ignoring it. Gens, stop feeling sorry for women who chose the struggle. I guarantee you that if it were a man, you wouldn't care. You must have ice-cold veins out here in these streets. Every day, people pass homeless men without caring about them. I do the same when I see homeless women or hear a woman on the verge of economic collapse. A sob story, I don't care, but I do it to show you that I'm not a hypocrite. I also won't help these people because I know that 9 out of 10 times they put themselves in that situation by being rebellious and living. I'm sure you're wondering how I can be so cold and heartless. I used to be employed by the local government, and it was my responsibility to listen to people's intimate stories 5 days a week for 365 days. When you begin to hear the reasons behind the majority of their stories, including why they required assistance and how they got to where they are, you realize that the majority of X is stupid as you begin to recognize patterns in human behavior. Keep on listening. The majority of women are where they are financial because they made poor choices when they were younger, which continued into their middle and later years. Trust me, I've witnessed it played out numerous times. A young woman who is having a teen pregnancy with Pookie or Ray is an illustration of this, and you all know that Pookie will not look after the child. The next time this woman conceives for Tyrone, she will become a single mother of 2 without a partner to assist with child care. That's what women do because they don't think in terms of the long term. As a result, they always find themselves in trouble when they don't have a man in charge. Okay, thanks. I opened up about why the majority of women can't survive on their own. Consider the bigger picture. The first thing we need to acknowledge is that women only made it this far because they had men to protect and provide for them. If men stopped caring about women and the effects it would have on them, we would be in trouble. We wouldn't have made it this far in the year 2022 if that one thing hadn't happened, because the women would have died off without question. Since we were unable to reproduce, we would have perished as a species long ago. Men do not require women at all to survive, aside from the biological need for men to conceive with women and for women to care for and raise the children. If you think about it, women have caused more personal harm to men than if that man had been left to his own devices because women had destroyed the family. There are more broken homes, mental illnesses, people who identify as more than one gender, and the family as whole lacks stability. Even without research, it is clear that the majority of single mothers are not good parents when you look at the children they raise outside. Just look at the tippy-toe outside. Men in 3 out of 4 households who suffer from mental illness ought to assert for themselves that they are ill-suited to parent alone. We have examined survival and raising children, which they are said to be the best at, up until this point, and so let's move on to building and maintaining. This will also be a brief point because I believe it is obvious that the majority of women worldwide do not make dishes. The next step is to maintain society so they can live. Look, as I previously stated, women only managed to survive this long thanks to what was in between their legs. This video demonstrates that if men stopped caring, their asses would have been grass without a doubt. And it would have been a wrap for women if I were to go into all the fields where women would have to step up and take control. This also demonstrates that they still require us far more than we do. As a result, I want you to be aware that you hold the majority of society's values. So act. Send the video to a friend who needs to be reminded that the land whale at home needs him more than she needs him. And even if a man earns less than a woman does, as long as he can pay his rent and make ends meet, he will probably have more money than her if she is not frugal, as men typically don't need much.